Level 1 ingredient handler, you don't enter Coca-Cola's world through a glowing red billboard, a packed stadium, or a cold glass bottle covered in drops of water. You enter through the receiving side of a bottling plant where the brand does not feel legendary yet. It feels like pallets, forklifts, cartons, plastic wrap, empty bottles, empty cans, caps, labels, shipping cases, and lot numbers waiting under cold white lights. Before Coca-Cola becomes the familiar drink someone opens during lunch, at a gas station, in a movie theater, or beside a fast food meal, it begins here as materials that have to arrive correctly, move correctly, and be staged without confusion. Your first job is simple: scan, check, separate, move, and stage. But simple does not mean small. One wrong pallet of caps can slow the line. One damaged batch of empty bottles can create problems later at filling. One mislabeled carton can force workers to stop and search while the plant loses time. You push a cart past stacks of packaging materials and hear the beep of forklifts moving behind you. The room smells like cardboard, plastic, metal shelving, and faint sweetness from somewhere deeper in the facility. You are not touching the secret formula. You are not making the drink yet. You are standing at the first gate of a system built to make every bottle and can look familiar before it ever reaches a customer. Outside, someone sees only the red label. Inside, you see how many small things must be right before that label can mean anything. At the bottom, Coca-Cola does not feel like refreshment yet. It feels like inventory, timing, codes, and pressure. And as another pallet of empty cans rolls toward production, you ask yourself, how many people stand behind one cold bottle of Coca-Cola? Level 2 water treatment worker. Now you move deeper into the bottling plant, away from the receiving dock and into the water treatment area, where the product begins with something almost too ordinary to notice water. The room feels cleaner, colder, and more controlled than the warehouse. Stainless steel tanks rise beside you. Pipes run along the walls. Pumps hum with a steady rhythm. Screens show readings that workers check again and again, not because they expect drama, but because this stage cannot be treated casually. Your role is to help monitor the flow, confirm checks, follow the process, and understand that before any syrup, carbonation, label, or red bottle can matter, the water has to meet the plant standards. At level 1, a mistake could sit on a pallet. Here, a mistake can move through pipes and touch everything after it. You do not see anything exciting yet. No fizz, no famous color, no bottle moving fast down a line. Just clear water traveling through a controlled system, watched by people who know that consistency begins before flavor. Outside, customers often talk about Coca-Cola, like it is only about the taste, the logo, or the feeling of opening a cold drink. Inside the plant, you learn that a familiar taste depends on an invisible foundation. If the water is not right, nothing after it can be trusted. A technician points to a screen, then to the tanks, explaining with short, calm gestures, because the machinery is loud enough to swallow long sentences. You follow the readings, the hoses, the steel, and the controlled movement of liquid. Suddenly, the drink feels less like a brand and more like a chain of conditions that must not break. And once the water is ready, the next level brings you closer to the part everyone wonders about, but almost no one gets to see: the syrup. Level 3 syrup mixing worker. At level 3, you reach the part of the bottling plant that everyone imagines, but almost nobody truly sees. The syrup area is not dramatic in the way customers picture it. There is no open cauldron, no magical red liquid, no secret recipe written on a wall. Instead, there are sealed lines, stainless tanks, batch records, controlled transfers, and workers who understand that curiosity does not matter here as much as consistency. The air carries a faint sweetness, sharper than the warehouse and warmer than the water treatment area. But the room still feels disciplined, clean, and serious. Your role is to help monitor the process around beverage base and syrup preparation, confirming batch information, checking that the right materials move through the right lines, watching transfers, and making sure records match what the system expects. At level 2, you learned that the drink begins with controlled water. Here, you learn that flavor must be protected without ever being treated casually. You are not there to know a secret formula. You are there to keep the system from making a visible mistake. One wrong batch reference, one mislabeled container, one transfer at the wrong time can create a problem that might not look obvious until later quality checks. You watch dark syrup move through a closed line, and for the first time, the product begins to feel like Coca-Cola. Not finished, not fizzy, not cold in someone's hand, but closer. Outside, people talk about the taste as if it simply exists. Inside, you see how much work goes into making that taste repeatable across bottles, cans, shifts, markets, and years. The real mystery is not only the recipe, it is the discipline required to make the same sip feel familiar again and again. And once the syrup is ready, the next level brings you to the force that turns sweet liquid into the sound. People recognize instantly the fizz. Level 4 carbonation technician. At level 4, the drink begins to sound like Coca-Cola. You move into the carbonation area where the liquid is still hidden inside pipes and tanks, but the atmosphere changes. The room feels colder. Condensation gathers on metal surfaces. Machines hum deeper here, and every screen seems to measure something invisible but important: pressure, temperature, flow, and balance. Your role is to help monitor the stage where still liquid becomes a carbonated drink, where the product gains the sharp bite that customers recognize the second they open a bottle or can. At level 3, you saw the syrup side of the system, the place where flavor begins to feel familiar. Here, you learn that flavor is not enough. Coca-Cola, without the right fizz, would not feel like Coca-Cola. Too little carbonation, and the drink tastes flat before the customer finishes the first sip. Too much instability, and filling, sealing, and quality can become difficult farther down the line. You watch readings on the control panel while cold product moves through sealed stainless lines. There is no dramatic explosion of bubbles, no open tank of sparkling soda. Everything is controlled, enclosed, measured, and watched. But you can feel the importance of this level anyway. Outside, the customer hears the sound first, the sharp release when a cap twists open, the quick hiss from a can, the bubbles rising against ice in a glass. Inside the plant, that small moment depends on workers making sure pressure and temperature stay within the expected range before the drink ever reaches a container. A technician pauses near one screen, studies a reading, and adjusts the process with calm focus. The line does not panic, but everyone understands that consistency lives in these quiet corrections. You realize the fizz is not just a sensation, it is part of the brand's memory, and once the drink carries that pressure, the next level sends it racing into bottles and cans, where Coca-Cola finally becomes something the world can hold. Level 5 bottle and can line operator. At level 5. Coca-Cola finally becomes something you can recognize with your eyes. You step onto the filling line, and the quiet control of the earlier rooms is replaced by speed. Empty bottles and cans move in long, disciplined streams, turning corners, sliding under guides, passing through machines, and lining up beneath filling heads that work faster than your mind can follow at first. The product that was once water, syrup, and carbonation inside sealed systems now rushes toward containers that will carry it into the world. Your role is to watch the line: empty containers, fill level, cap placement, consumes, movement, jams, rejects, and the small signs that something is drifting out of rhythm. At level 4, you learned that the fizz has to be protected. Here, you learn that even perfect liquid can fail if the container does not cooperate. A bottle can tilt, a cap can sit wrong, a can seam can be rejected, a fill level can drift slightly, a label or package flow can fall out of sync. One small issue can create a chain reaction, and the line has no patience for slow attention. It demands fast attention. You stand near the guardrail as rows of bottles fill, cap, and move forward with the red identity people recognize. Outside, a customer sees a bottle and thinks it simply exists. Inside, you watch how quickly it can become waste if timing, alignment, pressure, and inspection miss one beat. A machine rejects several containers, and your body tenses before you fully understand why. A technician steps in, the flow steadies, and the line continues. You realize this is the moment the hidden system becomes public. The drink now has a shape, a cap, a package, and soon a place on a shelf. And once those bottles and cans leave the filling line, the next level asks whether they are truly good enough to carry the Coca-Cola name. Level 6 Quality Inspector. At Level 6, you step away from the speed of the filling line and into the part of the plant where every bottle and can has to prove it deserves the label it carries. The product now looks finished from a distance. It has color, fizz, shape, cap, code, and identity. But in quality, finish does not mean approved. Samples are pulled from the line and placed under bright inspection lights. Some are checked for fill level. Some are examined for cap position, can seam, code clarity, packaging condition, and whether the product matches the expected standard. Your role is to question what the rest of the plant wants to move forward. At Level 5, you watched Coca-Cola become visible. Here, you learn that visibility can hide mistakes. A bottle can look normal but have a cap problem. A can feel fine, but fail a seam check. A fill level can be slightly low. A printed code can be too faint. Carbonation can feel different from what the product needs to deliver. Production wants the line moving. Packaging wants product. Distribution wants pallets. But your job is not to protect speed. Your job is to protect trust. You hold one sample bottle under the light and turn it slowly. The red identity is familiar, almost too familiar. And that is what makes the responsibility heavier. Millions of people do not inspect Coca-Cola when they buy it. They assume it will taste, open, pour, and feel the way it always has. That assumption is built here, in small checks most customers never imagine. When one sample is held for review, nobody cheers. The plant only grows quieter for a moment, because everyone knows a hold can ripple backward into the line and forward into the schedule. But letting a weak product leave would cost more than time. By the end of the inspection, you understand that quality control is not about finding obvious disasters. It is about protecting sameness in a product the world already thinks it knows. And once the bottles and cans pass, the next level turns them into cases, packs, pallets, and shipments, ready to leave the plant. Level 7 Packaging and Palletizing Supervisor. At Level 7, the bottles and cans stop moving as single products and start becoming cases, packs, pallets, and shipments. You step into the packaging area where the red identity multiplies in every direction, cans slide into packs, bottles move into trays, cartons open, fold, close, and stack. Shrink wrap tightens around groups of products. Palletizers lift and arrange cases with mechanical precision. The room is louder than quality control, but less wild than the filling line. Everything here is about order, the right product, the right pack, the right count, the right barcode, the right pallet pattern, the right shipment lane. Your role is to supervise that flow before it reaches the warehouse. At Level 6, quality protected the individual bottle, or can. Here, packaging protects the product's journey. A wrong variant in the wrong case can confuse retailers. A weak carton can collapse in the warehouse. A bad barcode can slow distribution. A poorly stacked pallet can become a problem inside a truck or at a store dock. You walk between machines with a radio clipped near your chest, watching workers, pack flow, carton checks, and the production board. Coca-Cola now looks powerful because it appears in volume. Rows of red packs, stacks of cartons, pallets rising higher under bright lights. But volume makes mistakes harder to forgive. One small mismatch can repeat hundreds of times before someone notices. A carton jam suddenly slows one lane. Workers clear it quickly, but you decide whether to pause long enough to verify that the right product count is still moving forward. Some people look at the clock, others look at the line. You begin to understand that packaging is not the simple ending after production. It is where the drink becomes a retail object, a warehouse unit, a delivery load, and a recognizable promise that can survive movement. And once the pallets are wrapped and staged, the next level asks whether the plant can deliver Coca-Cola to the exact place where someone will want it cold. Level 8 Bottling Plant Manager. At Level 8, the plant no longer reaches you as one station, one sample, or one pallet. It reaches you as an entire system trying to stay synchronized. You walk through the bottling plant with a radio, a production dashboard, and a constant sense that every part of the building is asking for your attention at the same time. The receiving area is checking the next material delivery. Water treatment is reporting normal readings. Syrup mixing needs confirmation on the next batch schedule. Carbonation is watching a pressure trend. The filling line wants to avoid downtime. Quality has held a small group of samples for review. Packaging is trying to keep pace with the cases coming off the line. The warehouse is asking when the next wrapped pallets will be ready. At level 7, you supervised products becoming shipment units. Here, you supervise the living rhythm that makes those units possible. Your role is to balance speed, quality, people, safety, materials, machines, and delivery promises without letting one problem turn into a plant. Wide delay, it sounds like authority, but it feels like pressure from every direction. If you push the line too hard, small defects may rise. If you slow it too much, delivery schedules suffer. If you ignore a worker who looks exhausted, the next mistake may not come from a machine at all. You stand near the production board and see numbers that represent bottles, cans, rejects, downtime, cases, and minutes lost. Outside, Coca-Cola feels effortless because it is everywhere. Inside, that everywhere feeling depends on thousands of quiet decisions made before anything reaches a store. When a filling issue and a packaging delay happen almost together, you choose to slow the flow long enough to protect quality. Nobody celebrates lost time, even when it prevents a bigger problem. By the end of the shift, you understand that managing a bottling plant is not standing above the system. It is standing inside the tension between consistency and speed. And once you carry one plant's pressure, the next level pulls you beyond the building into the distribution network that decides whether Coca-Cola appears exactly when someone wants it. Level 9, Regional Distribution Manager at Level 9. Coca-Cola leaves the controlled world of the bottling plant and enters the part of the system customers almost never think about: availability. You stand inside a distribution office connected to a finished goods warehouse, where pallets of bottles and cans wait in organized lanes, wrapped tightly, labeled by route, customer, product type, and delivery priority. Trucks back into dock doors. Forklifts move between stacks of red cartons. Screens show inventory, retailer orders, route schedules, vending machine replenishment, restaurant demand, convenience store deliveries, supermarket promotions, and temperature-controlled points where the product has to arrive. Ready for the moment someone wants it cold. At level 8, you manage the plant that produced the drink. Here, you manage the network that makes the drink feel everywhere. Your role is to make sure the right product reaches the right place at the right time, in the right quantity, without damaging the cases, missing the delivery window, or leaving a shelf empty during the exact hour customers are ready to buy. Coca-Cola is not only a beverage in this level, it is a promise of presence. A late truck can mean an empty cooler. A wrong route can leave one store overstocked while another runs out. A damaged pallet can create a problem far from the factory. A weekend heatwave can change demand faster than a spreadsheet expects. You begin to understand that the brand's power does not live only in its taste or red label. It lives in the fact that people expect to find it almost anywhere: a gas station, a grocery aisle, a restaurant fountain, a vending machine, a stadium cooler, a corner shop refrigerator. If it is missing, the customer may not wait. They may simply grab another drink. You look at a pallet being loaded into a truck and remember every level behind it: materials, water, syrup, carbonation, filling, quality, packaging, plant management. All of that work now depends on routes, drivers, warehouses, retailers, and timing. And once you understand how hard it is to make a drink feel instantly available, the final level brings you to the people who decide what Coca-Cola is supposed to mean when it reaches the world. Level 10, Global Brand Decision Maker at Level 10. The machines are gone, but the pressure has not disappeared. It has only changed shape. You sit in a brand strategy room with Coca-Cola bottles and cans on the table, sales reports on the screens, regional market data in front of you, packaging mock-ups beside campaign visuals, and a world map glowing softly on the wall. At Level 9, you learnt that Coca-Cola's power depends on availability, being cold, visible, and ready at the exact moment someone wants a drink. Here, you decide what that moment is supposed to mean. Your role is not to mix syrup, fill bottles, check caps, or route trucks. Your role is to shape the feeling people attach to the red label: refreshment, memory, celebration, habit, youth, meals, sports, music, holidays, and the simple pleasure of opening something familiar. Around the room, people speak in careful business language: stronger shelf presence, better package design, more local relevance, more zero, sugar growth, more emotional connection, better occasion planning. But behind every phrase, you now see the system you climbed. You remember the ingredient handler moving empty bottles, cans, caps, labels, and cartons before the product had a name in the customer's hand. You remember the water treatment worker watching clear liquid move through steel pipes before taste existed. You remember the syrup mixing worker protecting consistency without treating the formula like a spectacle. You remember the carbonation technician guarding the fizz that customers hear before they drink. You remember the filling line operator watching bottles and cans race under machines. You remember the quality inspector stopping tiny problems before they reach the shelf. You remember the packaging supervisor turning single drinks into cases and pallets. You remember the bottling plant manager balancing downtime, workers, machines, safety, and output. You remember the distribution manager fighting to make Coca-Cola appear everywhere, from a supermarket cooler to a vending machine on a hot afternoon. Now, all of that reaches your desk. If you change a package, factories must adapt. If you push a campaign, distribution must support demand. If you promise refreshment, quality must make every bottle feel familiar. If you chase growth too aggressively, the system underneath carries the weight. The bottle in front of you looks simple because the world already knows it. That is what makes it powerful. It hides water systems, syrup rooms, carbonation lines, filling heads, caps, cartons, pallets, drivers, retailers, and millions of quiet decisions inside one cold drink. You began at the bottom, where Coca-Cola was only materials, codes, and empty containers. You end at the top, where Coca-Cola becomes a global habit, a visual language, and a feeling people recognize before they even taste it. The product is never just soda. It is production, distribution, memory, marketing, and trust compressed into a bottle. So when the next meeting asks whether Coca-Cola should be colder, lighter, sweeter, more modern, more local, or more visible, the real question is not only what makes people reach for the bottle. The real question is who carries the pressure that makes a global brand feel effortless. If you want to see another hidden system from the bottom to the top, comment which company, factory, or global brand we should enter next.